What's up out there? I was one of the ones fortunate enough to get in on the Titan Quest 2 playtest that came out the other day. Basically, there was an item on my Steam newsfeed that popped up and said they were looking for a few thousand people to check the game out. I thought it was going to be something that came out, in like a month or something like that. But I went to the Steam page for Titan Quest 2. There was, I think it was a request access page like like a lot of developers do with betas and stuff like that. Almost immediately, I got an email and was installing the game. And I was like, great, I get to get in on this and try it out and check it out. So I've played it. I've tried two different characters, which if we look at this, I've got a melee character that was the first one I created. I spent about 30 minutes basically messing around with that one. Got up to the final boss fight. There is basically, you go through the map, fight a boss, and then after the boss fight, there's a little bit of a cutscene. You run away from something, and then there's another cutscene, end of playtest. That's where this character is. This is my ranged character. I tried this one out second, and this is the one I basically beat the playtest with. And we're going to dive into the melee character because that's the one I can actually show you combat and things, upgrades and all that kind of stuff with. The ranged character's stuck after the boss fight where there's nothing to fight, nothing really to show. So we're going to take a look at the ranged or the melee character here in a second. Now, I would also add that the playtest was followed up by a questionnaire. They asked about things like graphics, animations, and there was like 10 pages of it. I don't remember all the questions they asked, but what do you think of this? What do you think of that? There was all these different questions, and it went on for quite a while. So they had a really intense setup for this whole thing. Not only did they have the playtest, but they had the survey afterwards and all the questions. And I think one of the most important questions that they asked is, how do you feel about a $40 price point, which I think is perfect for this. I was very concerned about this. The original game was developed by a totally different developer nearly 20 years ago. So could some other developer step in, give us the same vibe and feel and play style and everything of the original game? Was it going to be some $80 nightmare with all the early access and season passes? Maybe they'll have a season pass, I don't know, but would it have tons of cosmetics? Would it be a single player game? Would it be, what would this game be? And I am very happy to say that if they pick a $40 price point, I'm going to guess it's going to have a 15 to 20 hour story, something like that. They might have some expansions because that's how the original Titan Quest was rolled out. So I kind of assume that's how they're going to do things. If the original's any judge to go by, but to bottom line this whole thing, because the most important question that I think you have, if you didn't get it on this playtest, and the most important question that I had was, is this Titan Quest? And I will absolutely say this is very well done. It has the look, it has the feel, it has the play style. There's so many things. I actually just played through the original Titan Quest not too long ago, and this absolutely captures the feel and everything for it. So if you have any concerns about it at this point with the playtest and the price point that they've suggested in their survey, I think we have a winner. So let's dive in and dig into this whole thing. The original Titan Quest is a Diablo-style game set in ancient Greece, but you do go visit places like Egypt, the Orient, Olympus, Hades, Atlantis. The level design is one of the most prominent features in my opinion, and it has a really good sense of scale and depth. So let's take a look at the actual game that we get here in the playtest. The first thing I would point out is this waypoint here is almost one for one to the waypoints and the style of waypoint that you have in the original Titan Quest. So right out of the gate, you've got elements from the original game making their way in here. The village looks really good. It's all on fire. I think this is developed on Unreal Engine 5. I think I read that somewhere. The game looks incredible. The character models look good. We looked at that Dragonkin the other day. I thought the overworld in Dragonkin and the levels looked really good, but the characters look kind of crappy. Here, everything looks really good. The audio is decent. Like, this is fairly well made. And you've got the land and the look and feel of a Titan Quest game. I think it's phenomenal. I think they've done a great job of keeping the aesthetic of what the original game looks like and how it plays. Now, some of the skills and things are probably going to be a little bit different, but the sense of scale and depth and everything that they've got into the level design, I think is really good. You can actually come up here and look down on that area. I believe you can actually go to that area and eventually you'll get over here and see this, and there's like a cave you can go back there. So it's really cool to see that they've kept this style and the ideas from the original game, as well as the look of the world and just the statues and the columns and everything on there. Very nice looking. I think the UI is very clean, very nice looking. It's your standard Diablo style game. Looks great. Even like your the character screen, the inventory screen, like it's all very nicely done. There's no little hiccups when you move stuff. Things just move fluidly. Some games, you get some indie games, some of this stuff doesn't move very well. We've also got a dodge button now, which is great. There is a little bit of a timeout on it, but it's another skill that you can actually develop and upgrade and get points for. There is no loot filter in the original game. If you went into, let's see, the controls, I found this by accident. I was looking for something else, but there was actually a loot filter in here depending on what buttons you clicked on. You could show like magic items, all items, magic only, rare only, something like that. I can't remember what they were set, but they were actual buttons in the control section. I don't see any of that in here, but they did exist in the original one. Oh, there's that survey. That's where I saw that. But there's no loot filter, it doesn't seem like. I don't know if they're going to change that. Maybe I just didn't run into it. I'm not sure. The frame rate, as you play the game, it does kind of feel a bit rough. And it feels all right now, but there are times when the frame rate does chug a little bit. Chug is probably not the right word for it. But there are times when the performance seems a little shaky. Like I didn't have any issues. There wasn't really nasty stuttering or anything like that. But there were times when it did feel like things were slowing down a little bit, maybe a little screen tearing, something along those lines. Not so much difficulty in gameplay, but more of it just felt a little bit off here and there. And it was more after I played for a while. So hopefully they fix whatever that is. You know, it's a playtest. I don't know that we can expect everything. But hopefully they fix all of that and whatever issues are in here and get it rolling and performing a lot better. So let's see, what else do we got to talk about here? Skills. We're looking at skills right now. The skills feel pretty good. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do in here. Like I throw this flame skill out, whatever that is. What do we got this called? Fisher. And you've got heavy attack. You've got little tags on all these. We'll go through the UI here in a second, but skills feel really good. I played this melee character and I played a range character. Let's see, on the UI aspect of it, you'll notice we've got health potions. We can swap health potions out. So I'm going to assume we'll be able to upgrade these over time somehow. But you've got your main bubble here for how much health you've got and how much mana you've got. You've also got this little ring that comes around here. This is your recharge. So you've got 1 or 2 uses of your potions. So this has got 1 use remaining. This has got 2 uses remaining. And this actually, when you're in combat, this outer ring fills up. When that fills up, you get another potion. So in the original game, you used to have to buy potions. You don't have to mess with that. It just automatically fills up when you're in combat. And you get, I think, 2 uses. I'm going to presume that you can upgrade this and get more uses of it at some point. But that's how this whole thing works. I was kind of curious how it filled up, and then I noticed that ring around there. So that's your health bubble. Let's see. We need to look at attributes. So on the attribute side of things, this is kind of an interesting way of doing things. You've got Vigor, which upgrades fitness, cunning, and resolve. And each of these, like fitness goes into bases for strike damage and pierce damage. So if I'm going to do a ranged character or something like that, I'm probably going to want pierce. Cunning does poison and lightning, and resolve is for fire and cold. Vigor actually upgrades all of those. So if you get a point, it's weird because it says you have like 1 point, but you put a point into this, it goes up by like 5. So I don't really get that, but I'm guessing it amplifies these. And points you put into here, you can see the little or the 3 lines going out. The points you put in here actually upgrade all of these. The points you put into might only upgrades fitness and resolve. It's kind of covering it up, but like knowledge upgrades resolve and cunning, agility upgrades cunning and fitness. And you'll have different requirements for weapons. You might have to have so much agility, might, or knowledge or something like that. I don't know if vigor counts into that or not, but I've kind of tried to I don't know, might is kind of where I was at with this character, and I've tried to alternate back and forth between might and vigor as I've gotten points. But the attribute system's kind of cool. You also get a list of all of the different stats and everything off to the side here. And then they'll explain kind of off to the side what the attributes do and how they kind of work together. We've also got the mastery side of thing. And now this is where you pick up all your skills. This here in the original game, as you leveled up, it would fill this bar up and you could get access to these other points. In this game, these are called divinity points, and you don't actually get any divinity points until you beat the boss in this game. In this demo, at least, you have to beat the boss, then you can go up to here. And once you get up to here, you get access to these skills and everything over here. Unfortunately, where the demo ends is where you get access to these. So I don't know how these play. I saw some people say that you could beat the boss and then just not go do the cutscene and then go try him out. I didn't bother with that. I could probably take this guy and go beat the boss, but I didn't feel like messing with it. I've seen what I need to see, but just know that in the original game, you would have to level this thing up. As you leveled up, you would put points into this, which gave you access to these nodes. In this game, you have access to these nodes once you beat certain bosses. I'm not sure if you level up after that or if it's certain bosses you have to fight. But as you defeat at least the original boss, that's what gives you the divinity points, and that's what raises this bar to get access to these skills. So in the original game, you could get access to these skills regardless because it's just you came from naturally leveling. In this one, you're going to level up these skills first, which you have access to, and then get access to this stuff as you beat bosses going down the road is what it appears like. Now, you are available to have 2 masteries. In this one, we've got Warfare and Earth, and the lightning one, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like lightning and cold damage. It's more of a caster-based type thing. And you can select 2. You'll actually get 1 mastery right out of the gate. And then as you play the demo a little bit further, you get the second one. You got to fight a little bit of monsters. It's not very challenging. It's kind of like Ascendancies in Path of Exile, but far simpler and far easier to do. Now, what the final game does, I don't know. But in here, it was fairly easy. You just click on this, select the first one, and then you do a little bit of a fight, and then click the second one. It was a very easy fight. So I've got Warfare and Earth, which is where I get like Fissure from here. We've got Roiling Magma. We've got passive. I should also add there's active points, which are the skills that you do, and the passives that you take to do increased physical damage, bleed, and things like that. You've also got down here is your base skills, like your primary attack, your dodge, where you can upgrade your dodge, and then you've got your barrier. So the barrier, we'll just dive into that. There's the barrier button, and I thought that was what the barrier you had. I can't click on it now. There's a little glow that goes around your character. I thought the barrier was fairly short-lived. It's actually not bad. And when you click on it, there's this animation around here. You'll also notice the bubble gets covered over with something that then drops off. So the barrier lasts longer than I thought it did initially. We need to go to the mastery page. The primary attack and the dodge, well, actually the barrier as well. As you put points into this, there's a little plus sign underneath this thing here. As you put points into this, these little shards will come unlocked. And some of these are, well, yeah, it does show you on here. They're all 1. Now there's a 2. So as you unlock these shards, you can click on, like I selected Onslaught 3 times, so that all 3 of these went into Onslaught. Like Volley, this is for projectiles, and I don't have projectiles, but this takes up 2 of these nodes. So you have to actually unlock 4 of these to put 2 points into that, if that makes sense. I think this is kind of cool. As long as my other character, I took up a lot more points into it. I think I got to like 7 or something like that. But you can put all these little modifiers into the main skill, and the same thing goes over to here for like heavy attack. As you put more points into this, more of your active points, you're going to be able to socket in more modifiers to it. So like on this one, I took more damage per rage because I was developing rage over here. So this is kind of an interesting way of doing it. It's different than the original. Similar, like it's got the similar aesthetic to it and a lot of the same ideas as the original, but it's done in a completely different way. And then you've got like passive skills. I think one of the things that the original game did kind of poorly is showing you what was active and what was passive. This one's got a definite, here's the active, here's the passive. So it makes it real easy to see the difference. And then like you've got on Earth, I picked up Fissure, but these are more spells, and it actually has tags for spell, active, overwhelm, Earth, area, exhaust. And of course with this one, as you put points into it, I increased Fissure duration. So when I go use this thing, it's going to let this sit out. And this was a Path of Exile 2 skill that I built around, but this one like just works. I don't have to mess with a whole bunch of stuff, and I get to use all my other skills. So I think it's pretty cool. I like the way they've got the attributes and the modifiers and the masteries and everything. I also should add that you can respec at any point in time. It's just going to cost you gold, which is how the original game was, but you had to go to a specific vendor in the original game, and here you can actually just respec for whatever gold and make whatever changes you see fit. So let's go do a little bit of walking around here. You can see, I love how they've got the sense of depth and scale and everything in this. One of my biggest complaints about Last Epoch is how some of the levels felt like they were 3 miles deep or something in just never-ending caves or something like that. And in this game, it all feels and looks very good, very appropriate to the area. Let's throw some of this down here and see if we can kill these things off. You've got your very basic attack with this thing. That doesn't cost you any mana. And then you've got the skills that cost mana, which is Barrier, Heavy Attack, and Fissure. Now, this is where you got your second mastery. You basically clicked on this thing. There was a few monsters that came up. You fight them, and then you get your second mastery. Not really difficult. Let's see here. We're going to go kill a few more things in here. Use our base skill. Now, this is not a builder spender thing, so the base skill is just there. The base attack, this right-click primary attack, that's just there. It does not take any initial... it does take a little bit of energy. But you can basically use it pretty much all the time, whereas these other ones cost a lot more energy and definitely run your energy down. I guess I didn't catch that the main skill still used it. The one thing that I'm kind of still trying to wrap my head around is I still take damage on almost all the time, no matter what I've put on. I don't know if there's a way of like not taking damage. Like you're constantly taking damage. And I watched a little bit, they had like a little play test or something. I guess I can't do magic right now. But even in like their play test, it looked like you were still taking damage, or whoever they were playing was still taking damage even further on. So it looks like you're constantly going to be hitting the health button. I wasn't sure if there was a way to get like completely around that so you just didn't take damage to lower level creatures or something like that, or took minimal damage. But even like I said, even their later stuff looks like you're still taking quite a bit of damage. There are AoE effects. This thing moves as you move, which I thought was a nice touch. Whack these things down here. Dodge button is great. That's one of the biggest things missing off the original game is a dodge button. And back here, I've already got it unlocked, but you can go in here. There's a chest or a little thing that goes into, opens up that door, and then you can get back into here. There's a chest back in here. So they've got a lot of little secrets and stuff. Good, we leveled up, so I can show you the level up. Loot sits on the ground. We've also got blue loot, which is magical. I think I've got, a rare item. So your typical normal or common, magical, and rare. And we can actually go through and do a level up. So I was working on, let's see here, melee skills, which, does it say in here, we need to work on what? I guess just attack, physical. Was trying to figure out something that, like some tag that showed what I needed to actually put points into. I do know we want might, because this supports heavy armor and heavy weapons. I thought I saw in here somewhere that said this was heavy or not. Maybe not. I know some of these weapons do say heavy. Like this thing needs, well, this is a light axe. Two-handed axe, doesn't really say anything. Not a good example. Well, at any rate, I would probably put a point into might, which these fitness and resolve are at 106. This is at 70. You put a point into that. You can take 1 point off of that, and you get 5 points into here, which gives you 3 points into those. If you wanted to raise vigor, you could do that. You will get 1 point there and a few points there. So it's kind of interesting to see how they've got this all worked out. It just combines a lot of things with the masteries and the way the attributes and everything work. We also get some mastery points. So we could go into, I don't know, what's this give me? Increased damage with a weapon and increased attack speed. Oh, I wanted to click in here. You have to take these up to level 6 before you... Not your character level of 6, but 6 points into this in order to put a point into that, if that makes sense. It's kind of goofy because it says at level 6, but it means level 6 of this feat, not level 6 of your character, because I am level 6. Let's see, what do we want to put some points into here? I could do a couple more points into this. We could do fire explosion. Sure, why not? Let's put, this is 1 node. We can get 5 out of this, so we can put, I actually had to go 2, because this unlocks at 5, 7, 9. And then you put a point into that, and that's going to do some fire damage whenever we go clock something here. So let's go hit something and see how this works. That's just the base skill. Bardici, is that any better than what I have? Nah, still not any better. We'll go wandering around here. I'll go whack something real fast. And I think, so those things catch on fire when I hit them. So that's cool. You come around this way, gold auto picks up. I should add that. These things, I guess I have to click on it. I thought that lit up. Maybe I've already got it lit up. And I think it throws like a little gold column when you go by it. But again, with the sense of scale, you got the nice little waterfall and stuff over here. But I think they've nailed it. I think Grimlore has knocked it completely out of the park with this. This is just phenomenal. It feels good. Actually, it's playing really well today, so I'm not noticing any issues. There are times when it does feel little frame rate issues. Doing some decent damage. The look is here. The gameplay is here. I am very excited for this. I can't wait to see how this comes out. And I think this should cover about everything that there is to see in the game. Hopefully this has answered any questions you've got. I've tried to run through and put anything that I thought would be useful to look at. We've looked at the character screen for the attributes, the masteries. The map looks really good. I did rebind a bunch of keys. I think this was 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then like QWER or something like that. I rebound it, and the potions were on like D and F or something. I rebound everything to the way Path of Exile and Diablo 4 is. You can completely rebind all your controls over in the options control screen. And it's actually kind of nice when you click on a button and rebind it, it flips the buttons over. So if you swap 1 and Q together, it actually flips them over. It doesn't just unbind the one and make you go chase it down and rebind it. It's very cool. I'm pretty sure that was this one. We can set that real quick here. Push 1. It says it's already bound, and you press it again. Let's see here. That would be, I guess it did unbind it. It might have been, yeah, it unbound it. I guess it's, I guess that was Dragonkin that I was thinking of that flipped everything around. But at any rate, you can completely rebind everything. I think this is really good. And I think that should cover everything we need to talk about. The rest of this video is going to be the boss fight. That's all it is. There's no commentary over it. So if you're curious what the boss fight looked like, I will close this video out with that boss fight using my ranged character. I fought it 3 times. I fought it with this guy and lost very badly. I fought it with the ranged character, didn't lose quite as bad, but I did lose. And then the second time I played it, it was really well. I will say this, the boss fight, the cadence on the boss fight was a little odd. Like it has tells for the abilities that it's going to throw out and do, but the tells come a second or two before it does anything. So there's this long pause, and where I was expecting to have to dodge immediately, I would get caught up quite a few times. I started getting the hang of the dodging in the second time I fought it. which played a lot better. But the first time I basically ended up in the AoE or whatever the boss was doing almost every time because I just didn't have the cadence of the dodge down. The second time went much smoother. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.